Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayome Sale, and today, you know, is Monday. We don't do this alone. I have Mercy, Marianne, and today we have a guest co-anchor. Just for a minute.
Yeah.
Hi, Ufoma Ogunwo. Yes. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You look amazing.
Thank you
I
very
like
much.
your cornrow.
Thank you.
It's giving African.
As you should.
As you
I
should.
know.
Yes. How are you, Marianne? How was your weekend?
I'm splendid. Great weekend, I must say. I slept, I ate, I enjoyed myself.
That's why we're looking for ways to fight the calories.
I know, right? The chicks must fall.
It will fall. Mercy, how are you? How
don't
was
call
your...
me Mary now. There's already Mary.
On Friday, I kept on calling. On Thursday, I kept on calling
When I
Mary
saw you,
Mercy.
she was
Now
like,
she's
Mercy,
here.
Mercy.
I'm calling Mary.
What's going on?
Oh, God.
How are you, Mercy?
Very well, thank you.
How was your weekend?
Great. I took a trip to Osun State over the weekend.
Really?
So it was horrible, man. Stress, drama, you know. It's good to be back in
You should
Lagos.
have told us. We would have followed you now.
I don't know,
I
to
like
do
road
what?
trip.
It's just escorts.
No,
we
I-
don't know. Something will drop.
We might even have a vox pop would have come from it.
Right.
All right. Never mind. I did all of that for you. For every other person. So I got you all covered, yeah?
Okay. It is well. All right. So, I mean, we're excited to be back with our partnership with Enough is Enough. And that's why we have Ufoma here with us. And today we want to be reviewing Nigeria's democracy and the lessons learned from Fumilayo Ransom Kuti's legacy. And, of course, that's why we have the delectable Ufoma to help us. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but I've seen a lot of reviews. I've not had time to go watch the movie, but based on the history of Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, you would know that she was one woman that stood for the mass, you know, the masses. She was able to galvanize women from grassroots. She was able to fight for unfair taxation that were being levied on those women in the market. And also, I mean, she did a lot of things around galvanizing these people and making them have a common voice, talking about also her strategy was quite, you know, unique, you know, and she held the government like by their balls, say we must get this thing done.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when you look back again in history, you look at it today, and I'm wondering where is the Fumilayo Ransom Kuti of today? But hey, we have a movie to look out for, so I'm sure that a lot of young girls must have seen this movie, and you know, they're looking forward to also making a mark in their lives. Well, tell us, you know, Ufoma, why do you think it's very important again? Given that June 12th is just around the corner, Democracy Day and all of that, and you see people like this and her legacy and all of that, why do you think it's important for us to be conscious of who Fumilayo Ransom Kuti is today?
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, it's just the movie or the biopic shows the importance of collective action. I know Abraham Lincoln would define democracy as government of the people, for the people, and by the people, right? And that's something that is almost lacking in our democracy. In our democracy, in a sense whereby we kind of have governments given to us, but with Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, we see the importance of people knowing their rights, which is one of the things that we're big about at Enough is Enough Nigeria, and that's what we do with our Office of Citizen campaign. When people know their rights and their responsibilities, and they are empowered with that knowledge, they wouldn't be able to take some things that they take from the government. So with Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, she was an elite. She was an educated elite at a time. But she went to the market women. She spoke to them about it. She told them
their language.
In their language, in what they understood, which is something for those of us that do a lot of advocacy work, right? We're supposed to speak to people, grassroots mobilization, and go there, talk to them, let them understand the role of government policies on their day-to-day life. Today we're talking about the removal of fuel subsidy, and now
increment of minimum wage, yeah.
Right, and now we find out that, fuel subsidy never really went out. So why did we have to go through all we went through in the past couple of months? But people need to know these things and understand it, and so that they can now galvanize for action, which is why this movie is powerful. And I think it's also why come June 12th, we'll be in Abeokuta, Abuja, and also here in Lagos, Silverbird Cinemas, to, you know, show this movie again so for people to come in, and we also have a panel discussion, right, where we can talk about these things. We'll be sharing our OTC passports, so if you come, you get a copy, and so that you'll be educated on what you need to do and how you can galvanize for change.
Yeah, quickly.
So OTC passport, obviously.
That's the also the citizen's passport. Yes.
Public. Lovely. I've always supported I because of the things that. But for this is something that I'm very interested in, because when you talk to the average young person today, they're not necessarily interested in governance or policies, or let alone knowing their rights, of course. And the attention span is short. How do you hope to capture not just the average young person, but the average young woman today who's given to all sorts of things other than the importance of leadership and being part of it?
Because poverty affects men and women, but it affects women in a different way. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is important. And that's why for us in Abeokuta, we are taking market women to the cinemas so that they can watch the movie and see what can be if they decide to rise up.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Enough is Enough has been in partnership with Ways for a year now, and one thing I know you've advocated for is accountability, demanding accountability. And this is one of the things that Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti stood out for. You know, she wanted to demand accountability from leaders. And one thing politicians are afraid of? People that are able to galvanize people at the grassroots level. Because that is where the mass is. That's where the numbers, those are the people that actually vote. So if you had one thing to say to someone as we wrap up, what would you say to that person?
On June 12th, go and watch Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti and be inspired for change.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we thank you again for always being, ready to feed us with information that is needed for citizen engagement when it comes to governance. Thank you so much, Ufoma.
Thank you very much,
Ufoma, for coming.
All right, so we'll go on a short break now. When we come back from that break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future,
yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Efficiency in terms of electricity distribution. People should be able to see this power being generated. When you see that power is generated, you wouldn't really complain in payment. However, the hike in price was quite sudden. The next clarification that it only affects about 1.9 million Nigerians, that about 10 million more are still under subsidy. And it begs the question, are they not Nigerians? The so-called 1.9, are they not entitled to some form of subsidy? This should happen in phases, not outright like 200% increase. That is so, uncalled for. And looking at the fact that subsidy has been removed on petroleum products like a year ago, bringing about this one now makes it difficult for everybody at the same time.
What has happened to the Band A customers is that the tariff has been adjusted to reflect the cost of the service. So let's even price the commodity properly. There is a conversation around whether electricity is basic amenity or utility, or whether it's a commodity. In the days when we were swimming in petrodollar, 70s, 80s, and things like that. You could think along that line, but not today again. Electricity is a commodity. It has to be sold. So when we get more money from it, we can then develop the power sector to the point where customers will be the ones to say, no, this is the hours of electricity that I want, because that's what I can afford. So if it is nighttime alone, you can enjoy the electricity, all well and good. I mean, most of us travel out of this country and we know that people don't play with their utilities. They pay for it. In Nigeria, we play with our utilities. We not only play with our utilities, we even vandalize. And we want a stable power sector. Where is that done?
Right, so tonight we want to discuss issues around the creation of new states, and here's what we found as today's quote. It says, I am here to tell you that just as I am certain that the United States will emerge from the struggle with our democracy, I am equally certain that Nigeria will emerge in this century as a model democratic country, not just for Africa, but for the entire world. All right, so we're having this conversation on the creation of new states, and much later on the show we'll be having Oladotun Hassan, who's a public affairs analyst. All right, so today is June 10th. It's celebrated the International Day for Dialogue Among Citizens, which resonates deeply with Nigeria, a country known for its rich cultural diversity and over 250 ethnic groups. In Nigeria, dialogue among citizens is crucial for fostering national unity and understanding, as the country's diverse population often have differing perspectives and beliefs. By embracing dialogue and cross-cultural exchange, Nigerians can work together a more harmonious and inclusive society where the unique traditions and customs of each ethnic group are valued and respected. This day serves as a reminder of the importance of promoting intercultural dialogue and understanding in Nigeria to build a brighter future for all citizens. All right, so a happy International Day for Dialogue amongst civilizations.
Yeah.
All right, let's quickly run through what we found in today's news. Mercy, can I come to you first?
All right, quick one. It's about the recent report of the National Bureau of Statistics for the first quarter of 2024. The report states that refined petroleum products and agricultural food imports constituted the major item imported by Nigerians into the country. And so agricultural goods were imported were valued at 920.54 billion naira, reflecting a 29.45% increase compared to 711.14 billion in the second quarter. That's the fourth quarter, I beg your pardon, of 2023. And that's like a 95.28% increase compared to the 471.39 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023. However, the key imported commodities include motor spirit, ordinary, you also have the gas oil, and with cane sugar meant for sugar refineries, amongst others. So basically what's saying is that this is what we're spending, our monies on. This is what's leading the cost of importation. It breaks my heart. There's no time. I probably would have just delve into all of that. But maybe I just leave it at this. Nigeria has a very vast agricultural potential, including, for crops like cocoa, cassava, maize, rice, palm oil, amongst others. We have no business importing some of these things that we have comparative advantage of. That's why you have strength. Agriculture used to be the mainstay for us, in the 1960s. What happened?
Yeah, it's a
why are we now?
It's a question we'll leave for the people that we need to answer it. Maria, let me come to you. Say what happened.
Well, mine's very interesting.
We know what happened.
Well, governors we hear across the states spend billions of naira on cars for lawmakers. state lawmakers, by the way. We hear, according to Daily Trust newspaper, that many state governors have spent billions of naira to purchase exotic vehicles of different foreign brands for members of state houses of assembly, despite the economic downturn in the country. Now, an analysis by the Daily Trust newspaper indicated that 9 states have expended over 15 billion naira on different brands of vehicles, mostly for lawmakers in the current dispensation. And the bigger question, obviously, is what happened to the other cars? I mean, most of these people are returning members of the assembly. So why do you have to spend this much money? Let me quickly run through the states. Kanu, we have Gombe, Kogi State, and Ondo State. Ebonyi is also in that list. Kebbi State, Osun State, Niger State, Delta State. And the list is endless. And so you just wonder to yourself, Labour is asking that they pay the minimum wage. They are saying they don't have money, but they have money to buy lavish vehicles. They didn't go to Nord. They didn't go to the Igbo man.
Innocent.
They didn't go to Innocent.
They
went
didn't
to
go to
Japan.
Peugeot.
They went to
They didn't go to GSC that has brought a factory here in Nigeria.
They didn't even go to the generator making guys that now have
Mikano.
cars. Mikano. They went to Japan to buy cars that are bulletproof. But then the average Nigerian is suffering. I'll leave it at that. Chew on it.
Interesting. It's good to chew, because this chewing, I'm going to revisit the matter. Russia is sending Nigerians, other African students, to war for visa renewal. That's according to the report. So people that have their visas that have expired and all of that, and they want to renew their visas, one of the criteria for renewal of visa is that they will have to be enlisted to go to war. I just thought to mention
Sorry,
that.
they're fighting in another man's war. Come back home.
I say make I mention now,
Come
because
back home.
I keep wondering,
come home.
Why do we still have Nigerians there? I thought at some point a lot of Nigerians left and all of those things, right? So from the reports, you know, Russia is allegedly sending, it's an allegation though, thousands of migrants and foreign students to fight alongside its troop in the war against Ukraine for visa renewal. So this was a report from Bloomberg. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, you need to see the conversation on, you know, the social media space, especially on X and other spaces that people are engaged in. I need to hear the thoughts. Some people are already asking, where can they sign up? What about those who are in Nigeria? Is it possible for them to join? And that's the thing.
Okay,
you know,
you're joking
it's
with
absurd.
what?
You know, it's really absurd,
I'm sorry,
but
it's the ignorance and the stupidity for me. Signing up for war. Do they know what a war is?
Well, you see, it is how bad. It just shows you how bad it is, you know, for anyone to consider that their current situation is not good. So therefore, they are considering, you know, engaging, volunteering to fight a war, not for their own country.
My father and his family escaped the civil war in this country. Go ask your parents what war is about. All these Gen Z children, go and ask your parents what war is about. Then you probably reconsider it.
It is well. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back from that break, creation of new state. That's our conversation. Stay with us.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future, yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, the debate around new state creation has been ongoing for years, with various groups advocating for their own states. But it is the question is this necessary for Nigeria? or is it a recipe for disaster? So tonight we want to examine the potential benefits and drawbacks of new state creation, the implications of our nation's unity, economy, and political landscape. All right, I think we have with us Barrister Oladotun Hassan. He's a public affairs analyst. Areb Dotun Hassan is also the secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Ekpe branch. He is the executive project director of Lawyers for Reform Groups. He also serves as the president of Nigerian Youth Coalition, secretary general of the Nigerian Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leadership Council, and president of the Yoruba Council worldwide. And he's joined us via Zoom this evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. Are. That's your title.
It's a pleasure to be on your program.
All right, thank you so much.
It's a great honor to be on your program.
Okay, so when I saw this report on, was it Thursday now or Tuesday? I can't remember when this report came out. I just thought to myself, do we really need this right now? I mean, we are we are at a time where we are still fighting about minimum wage. We're still talking about an over-bloated government structure. We're talking about how, we have too many members of both national assemblies and state houses of assemblies, and now creating a new state with all the extra increment that comes with that new state, right? I'm just thinking, is this what we need now? But some have argued that, it's long overdue. Some are saying that, no, we don't need it. What's your stand on this creation of a new state in Nigeria?
Well, it's about understanding the perspective of the constitutionalism of Nigeria as a country. We have yet to really have a true people's constitution, and I beg to disagree with the modus operandi of the demand for the creation of states, and as well the extension of tenureship and rotational presidency by 6 years as sponsored by Honorable Gochinyere in regard to the taking, trying to haphazardly think that by going that route, we solve one problem. I want to inform that going that route at this critical time will further dampen our hope, because one situation still matter. Ab initio, the current constitution is predicated on Decree 24 of Abdul Salami decree. So meaning we don't even have a constitution. We cannot continue to deceive ourselves. And the way and manner the military came about divesting various regions into 12 states, into additional states by demand, by political intrigues and ethnic rivalry. All this culminated to the inequality that metamorphosed into us having 36 states and the FCT, with a lot of imbalance in terms of the delineation and geographical boundaries of these states and regions. Even some states and local governments are zoned to a particular region that are not in tandem with their ethnic value and virtue. So we can see some states from the Kwara part that are exclusively Yoruba that are zoned to the northern zone, just as some parts in the Kogi axis too, which are Yoruba speaking community, are equally zoned to the northern zone. So be that as it may, until we reconstruct the constitution, then we can now dissect the reason for how do we now balance the issue of state creation. If we talk about state creation now, the idiot thought that they are demanding for, if you ask the people of Lagos, they will show you records of how a group in Lagos have initially demanded for the Lagoon State in Ibadan. There is a demand for Ibadan State. There is a demand for other states within Ogun. So there is no space that will not demand for more states if that free open check is given. So, but their own statement is that, oh, is to balance and to ensure that they also meet up the 6. What about the Northwest that has 7 states? So there might not yet be a balancing. If you have to look at the geographical imbalance that we are currently faced with, I would not want to mix the issue of state creation to the economic downturn that have always been there for the past 60 years. The economic downturn have just been a batting from one administration, either military or civilian. Till date, we are yet to really have that benefit of our democracy. So it's a mixed bag, but we need to really dissect that. It is quite important for us to consider the confab report, because through the confab report, a lot of these resolutions were resolved. And that is where the demand for restructuring comes in, and the need for the federal government to really sit back, engage the states, engage every fabrics of the nation to see reasons for us to have a new people's constitution and not a decree.
All right, just a quick one, because it would be important to understand the essence, the purpose of why we had state creation. And I'd like to ask if the objective of state creation you think have been fulfilled in Nigeria. We have 36 states, including the FCT, in terms of addressing the concerns of social, economic, and marginalization amongst diverse ethnic group, because the reason for, state creation at the time was to address some of these issues. Looking at Nigeria now as an entity, do you think that, all of these concerns have been addressed with the creation of 36 states plus the FCT?
Not at all, because the way, in my analysis, I try to let you know that the military created most of these states that made up the country called Nigeria today. And we cannot continue to feign ignorance on how best to identify the real issues. And I think it's very important that we clarify that the states that are being created were created on the premise of personal aggrandizement, political division, or regional or rivalries among communities, especially like when Oyo State, Osun State was carved out of Oyo State, was as a result of the political rivalry within Southwest. So a lot of issues where people never sat down to really reason and ensure that proper delineation were met. Look at the way Lagos created the 57 LCDA. There might not have been proper consultation, but that was one of the areas people just sit down, consider what benefits them. At the end of the day, when we looked at everything, we saw that the entire northern zone almost were delineated with more senators, more states, more local government, and that created that fear of inequality. And that is the angle to becoming a governor of that state, because nobody wants to agitate for something without their own background interest. And we must look at that until we dispassionately reconstruct Nigeria. And if we need for us to reconstruct Nigeria, some places need to even be mashed back together. There are some states that even need not be called a state in this country that are no more than local government of Alimosho in Lagos State.
Yeah.
Yes, we have them. So there is a need for even merger of state and local government in this country as a result of the inequality. So if we don't really address the real issue, we continue to take this issue from the prism of attrition, of ethnic attrition, of political intrigues, and at the end of the day, who suffers is the citizen, because there is no proper, there is no plebiscite. Because for us to have all these things, there are processes that calls out for state creation, and you cannot create a state by amendment of the constitution. You cannot even amend the constitution you never created. So the National Assembly of the country did not create a constitution for us. So if they need to, I have always agitated that You cannot amend this constitution. And the previous Senate of the 9th, 8th, and 7th Assembly, they've equally come with different ideas. In the Obasanjo period, we have the third-term agenda. Now they are bringing 6 years, one term. We've had 7 year, one term under Jonathan. What are these political calculations all about? These are trying to having a fire brigade approach. And we cannot solve Nigeria's problem under a fire brigade approach.
Thank you, Dotun. You have brought me to you've come to where I want you to get to, which is my question. You talked about the Constitution, which is always a focal point when people are talking about, you know, the disunity of the country, the fact that we're not properly serviced as people, that our interests are not, you know, positioned as priority for our leaders, and which you have clearly stated with the different agendas of the different national assemblies. But let's go back to the Constitution. Even with this amendment that I know is happening now on the floor of the National Assembly, there's not been any citizen, you know, participation. They've not carried us along. What do you think would be the best way to address this? Because we've had confabs, we've had constitutional conferences in the past. All of those are gathering the dust somewhere. And do you think that the government of today, and I'm talking about both the legislature and the executive, are in a position, or their body language states that they will be ready to bring and gather Nigerian people to rewrite a constitution that will reflect we, the people? Is there a possibility, or are we just playing to the gallery?
Yes, there is a possibility. And as a lawyer, we study, every lawyer understands these anomalies we are talking about. And it's painfully enough that I would have loved the NBA president to move this as part of our responsibility in correcting these woes. Because if we continue to believe that good thing will come out of the Nazareth of the way we are moving this country, without us really dissecting the major foundational problem, and that is the structural issues that is affecting the foundation of the country, which is the Constitution. But the way the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration came on board with the renewed hope agenda, and it promises restructuring and the creation and giving us a new Nigeria, ensuring and pushing as one of his agenda that is going to create a restructured country. But this just 1 year ago, there have not been any litmus of how do we really correct these anomalies. I will call it the pinch reviews that we are seeing, which are the pinch of salt that we are seeing from the new national anthem, this Idiato and Holu demand. All these things cannot solve the problem. What we expect that, let there be the need for us to review our first law, which is the 1963 Constitution, whereby we had the Constituent Assembly. There were a lot of conversation that brought about the 1963 Constitution. If not for the military that caused us these monumental disasters, we might have advanced beyond where we are now. But we just continue to merge ourselves, conscript ourselves to believing that, let's just believe in that one Nigeria cliche.
But Dr. I'm so sorry to talk over you, Dr. I'm so sorry to talk over you. But when you say we continued, it's not like we're the ones who are sitting on the floor of the National Assembly. These people were elected to reflect our wants and our desires. But it looks like they're not necessarily just
unfortunately, Marianne, the truth is that you say they are elected. Are you sure they are elected to go and represent?
Whatever the case is, they're supposed to be representing
us. So there's clearly a fundamental issue. But Dr. You know what? I'll let you come back to respond to Marianne, but let's quickly run off on a short break. We'll be right back. So we are back. Mariana,
it's getting hot in here.
It's getting hot. You know, I'm just saying, Marianne, in fairness, right? yes, there's a role that the citizen has to play, but we then need to understand how we go about that. But
we gave them the power, so that's the question.
Yeah, so if you just tuned in, you're still watching Ways, and you can call us on 070-2500-7749 or send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081803846663. All right, so we still have Barrister Dotun with us. Now, Dotun, based on Marianne's question, right, around, because you're seeming like citizens are helpless, right? Is that what you're trying to insinuate?
But that's the case. They're doing,
but are we really helpless, or we are actually just very ignorant and docile as to what to do?
Why are we having this conversation today? Because the people we put there are not answerable to us anymore.
Did we put them there?
Yes, we did.
Barrister Dotun, please come in.
So, Dotun, what do we need to do? Because when you say we, it looks like we're the ones who are enabling them, but not necessarily the truth. So what is the MBA, civil society, and we, the citizens, what are we supposed to do to get these guys to be responsible to us, to dance to the tune of the music that we need them to dance to, especially in the case of restructuring? Dotun, are you there?
No, I think we've lost the...
Okay, you need to unmute yourself if you're speaking, Dotun.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. My very first advice is the fact that as a lawyer, I want to look at the angle of the law in solving this problem. What I expect Mr. President to do is to establish a commission, that is the National Constitutional Commission. That is a commission that will be in charge, because if you don't firstly create that commission, then you now create a national plebiscite and referendum commission again, which will be in charge of the people coming out to vote for the law. Because lawmaking and creation of the constitution are different issues. Foundational issues of creating a constitution must come from the sovereign, is a sovereign right of the citizen. You and I need our idea. Our language must be, the laws not, it's not strictly English interpreted laws, because we have people that are the Egba, we have the Shekiri, we have other, but these laws must be interpreted in everyone's language. We must take our time to know what is in the content of the law of the land, because the citizens are never carried along as regards the Constitution of Nigeria. Maybe you and I, especially if I ask you in the studio, have you taken your time for one day to open the book called 1999 Constitution and read from one cover to the end? No citizen can tell us that he's proud to have gone there, and these things are not even taught in our schools from primary, secondary, and tertiary. So even lawyers that studies law is just one.
Is that not also? Is that not? But Dotun, is that not also an intentional? What's it called? Intentional plan to keep the citizens uninformed. Again, one of the things that we have argued on this table is not for lack of, even some of the things that we have that are even very nice on paper, right? Implementation is not happening because citizens don't even know how to hold these people accountable. Yeah. So as a way of moving forward, right? Because if you are saying that we're dealing with the 1963 constitution, right? And we need to reform. First of all, I do not agree with you that they need to form any commission again, because I'm tired. Every time it is formed. No, wait. Dotun, let me finish my argument. Because every single time we want to solve a problem in this country, let us form a committee. Let us form a this. Let us form a that. All of those things, as far as Nigerians, average Nigerians like me are concerned, it is just they just go there, spend a lot of money, and in the end, nothing comes out of it. What is the best way citizens like you and I can go and demand for this reconstruction of this constitution that would eventually form a foundation that can then hold the country forward?
Yes, you know, the reason why I mentioned this is the fact that we have had sit out from the Abacha conference to the Jonathan confab, and there have always been series of reviews. And at every tenure of every National Assembly, that these rituals are frowned at, and it has now become a recurrent decimal for every Senate to zone, to commit billions of naira on the premise of appointing the deputy speaker or the deputy senate president to chair a committee called the Constitutional Review Committee. At the end of their whole year of tenureship, nothing comes out. And that's why I now put it to you that if we don't have a proper plan, meaning the president must, this current president must have that mindset of correcting, firstly, the anomaly. I just told you one of our problems, that our constitution is just resting on a thin leg of a decree. And a decree is not made, is not a civilian-made law. It's a military-made law. And military-made law cannot be the foundation of our country. And that's what I'm frowning at, that until we deconstruct this false constitution, then how do we reconstruct? That is why I say there must be an incubator, which is a commission that must be in charge of that, to look at the document that must be presented to the people. That document must have been properly annexed, and that's why we are calling that. We have several documents in the archive. All they need to do is bring. America never went through all this old stress before they came up with a flexible constitution.
Well, you know, there are several. I mean, there are several quarters that are already saying that this current administration might literally be, you know, picking some policies, looking at taking the people at the confab of 2014 and implementing it without actually, you know, being transparent about all of that. You know, that's actually, you know, the reports, because if you have also looked at the confab report of 2014, you would see that there are a bit of some similarities with some of the policies that are already on ground. But let's, you know, delve a little bit from that. The issue of marginalization has always been, it looks like it will never leave our lexicon. It has come to stay. Do you think that restructuring, by the time we get to a point where we restructure this country, do you think that restructuring will solve the issue of marginalization across the entire country?
Yeah, well, restructuring is an ideology. Marginalization is an entrenched problem that is becoming a terminal disease that is affecting our psyche as a people, because some just believe that they are born to rule. So, and the way we are orientated in this part of the world is power corrupt and absolute power corrupt absolutely syndrome, which is affecting our developmental beliefs. So until when we come out as a people, and this must be a driving force from the leadership. If there is leadership failure in taking and carrying the people along, unlike the way the current administration has been picking up the issue of the local government autonomy, all these things are resolutions of the confab report of the Jonathan era. But regrettably, Babachir Lawal, when he was the SGF of this country, claimed that that document is for the archive, it's job for the boys. Why would somebody on that same pedestal refer to that document that high-level reasoning Nigerians came together to still fashion something that is close to solving our problem? If all we just need to do is to bring that document and harmonize it. Firstly, Mr. President must be prepared to letting us know that is he coming to deconstruct this constitution and give us a new one. He must come up to tell us. He must not put us in the dark. We are just seeing 6 years, one term. Who is going to be for this benefit? Because in politics that we are seeing now, you know, it's more about that there are some tricks that we just have to be to look, and we might not be able to comment over. And that's what is happening. The way things are going.
Datu, I want to put you in. Datu, please, I want to.
Mr. President, come out, just as you have rightly said, what are the vision to ensure that we have a new people's constitution? If this is our demand as a people. So,
Datu, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I just want to ask you a question, because you just put my president's personality or his what his plans are. You've questioned it, and I want to backtrack to that. Are you questioning Mr. President's plans with this whole 6-year tenure situation? Are you all of a sudden questioning if the president is capable of delivering on his mandates and the promises that he made to Nigerians? to give us a renewed hope. Are you questioning the fact that maybe the president may not be able to get his legislature to adapt to what he wants Nigeria to be? Please answer that question, because you campaign for Mr. President.
Unfortunately, I think we lost. I was looking forward to that answer.
Oh dear. Because, I mean, he sounded more like he's saying,
because
politics.
You see the way they slid in 6 years tenure.
And he asked the question, who is he going to benefit?
As it is now, people are going through the backyard to go and pick, things that were resolved from the
national compact.
They threw it out. I tell you what, the APC came and threw out that document, and just as he said, Babachir Lawal, made a mess of it. And then the APC in itself, I don't forget, that committee had in it the ousted governor of Kano State, what's his name, the one that's under probe now, El Rufai, who decided that they were going to have a restructuring committee. They brought a document. Where's that document? Because it seemed like theirs was better, but where is it?
So that's the thing. And I like the fact that you literally ask him, that we're tired of having all of these committees. The bureaucracy, the entire process, to get things done. And that's why we're here. One thing that really upsets me is the fact that usually when you have all of these processes, whether you're restructuring the constitution, it is capital intensive. Yep. It is a lot of money that's chunked into that process.
Yes.
So for a document that people sat, time, resources, and what have you, we're so wasteful as a people.
Oh yes.
And I keep asking, what's the essence? Because we're taught in elementary government that one of the characteristics of government is that there's continuity. So you ask yourself, where is the continuity? Because it's not supposed to be. It has nothing to do whether you are an APC or you are an PDP. It's supposed to be for the collective good.
Nigeria as a whole, right, is not even as large. I mean, you've been to the United States of America, for goodness sake. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so when I hear people talking about creation of a new state,
yes.
Uncle, you are not even up to...
Our languages, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And do you know how many people are in India?
Let us be honest with ourselves. Currently, if you talk about marginalization, I am marginalized. I'm from Edo State. Have I seen an Edo president before? No. You are from Akwa Ibom, you're from Calabar State. Have you seen a Calabar president before?
No, there's no Calabar State. It's called
Cross River State.
You have marginalized me. I will not take it.
Besides, I'm from Cross River State.
Cross River State. Have you seen a Cross Riverian governor before?
President before? To be president.
The point I am trying to make, when you are complaining about marginalization, there's a huge chunk of Nigerians that have been marginalized. Because where we want to pick presidents, is either we are going to Yoruba land or Hausa land. That's it.
Yeah.
Jonathan was the exception. He was the outlier.
And that was because he was biased. It was an event.
The point I'm trying to make is anything around they want to create a core before they finish the meeting. Just let's end it there, kill it, because
but it's a political strategy. That is how it has always been.
For me, but in the course of this conversation, if you understand, if you remember, if you look at the history of how states were created at the time, the period where we had, the petrodollar, oil boom, and what have you, that was actually the reason. It was a driving force, because when oil was discovered between the 70s and what have you.
Let me come back to Marianne. Dotun is back. I believe he's back.
Dotun, okay, I'm going to ask my question again, because you made some very interesting points, and I wanted to take you on it, so I'll do it quickly. You talked about the politics involved and the fact that, you don't know who's going to be benefiting from this 6-year tenure. So I'm asking, are you questioning your and my president's ability to be able to present, the kind of hope agenda that he presented to us, to his legislature? Are you telling me, or are you questioning the fact that the president might not be able to get his legislators, I beg your pardon, in position to do the job of reconstructing Nigeria the way it should be, so that we can all just feel among, for the want of a better way to put it? Because you campaign for the president powerfully.
Yes.
Are you questioning his capabilities right now?
Well, let me tell you one thing. There is no president in the world that you cannot query their actions and inactions, even in America, everywhere in the whole world. So it's not about querying capacity or capability. It's all about our democratic rights. That is not to say we have to be sentimental about it. I've always been very altruistic about the way I address issues. What I want us to understand is the fact that I've been more engrossed in this whole issue of constitutional democracy. And if you must get it right, what Mr. President needs to tell us, firstly, is to have a presidential order to make sure that this issue of constitution forms an order that must be complied with. It's not a matter of bill or presidential bill or review, because the major problem is that they know that the constitution that creates the entire democracy we are all in is faulty. Firstly, Mr. President needs to push a presidential order, not even by National Assembly, trying to put to the Nigerian nation that the establishment clause of we the people laying the end on the decree must be first of all vacated by his order. He has a power to vacate that that we the people and predicating it on the Supreme Military Council of Abdul Salami is a wrong notion on us. If we first of all heal that, we know that, okay, we are now having a document called a renewed hope constitution, not in his own political campaign, but something that was fit in. Because the way Jonathan solved this problem then was that people were saying you cannot have a sovereign national conference. You cannot create another sovereign assembly. National Assembly fought him there. What he just did was to just create a national conference. And he removed the issue of the sovereign out of it because he wouldn't want to create a new power block that will become a law in its own, and whatever they pass as a law becomes binding. That was why that report came out. I'm only reminding Mr. President that he has a duty because governance is continual. It's either by PDP or APC, it doesn't matter. Either Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, it doesn't matter. It's about governance. And that's why I'm putting it to him, that it was part of his promises. That was one of the reasons why we came all out to align, because I don't just align. I looked at those 10 agendas. The restructuring was part of it, that they are ready to reconstruct the constitution and give us the right law. But what he's trying to do from the Oronsaye's report was...
Oh, wow. Okay, we lost his audio. Quickly.
Lost your audio.
All right, so quickly, let's run through some comment here. I have this one. It says, "Good evening, my adorable sisters. Well done on your effort of keeping us abreast of hot events happening in Nigeria. On the topic, do we need a new state in Nigeria? In my opinion, I don't think we need it for now. Maybe in the future. The ones created in the previous government, how are they faring? Are they better off for it?" I think that's what you said. I hope I got it correctly. It shows that our politicians are not in sync with what's happening to the masses, no matter the party they belong. We thought it would be different when we have colorful members elected in the last elections. We have entered their boat together. We should be praying for a safe sailing and birthing in 2.5 or 3 years' time in peace. Amen. Mrs. Adeniji from Aja.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
This one says, "Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying Ways. Do we need a new state in Nigeria?" The main question is very simple. According to the Nigerian constitution, do we really need a new state to be created for now? Is getting a new state our main problem for now? This is one thing that makes me really upset about this country. We have a lot of problems that have not been solved, that need urgent attention, and we're busy talking about creating a new state. It is only an awkward idea that comes from an awkward country. If we ask what we have achieved in this Nigeria this past 1 year, the answer is that our suffering and hardship has multiplied. The 36 states that we have now, are they not enough for us, for crying out loud? Let us solve our problems for the benefit of all Nigerians and stop talking about creating another state. I hope all is well. He says, Daniel Ilo, thank you. Our very faithful, loyal
Daniel.
watcher.
So, Dotun, we have 1 minute to go. I just want to give you the last word. So, if you had one thing to say to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would that be?
Well, the number one thing is for the president to really come out really truthful to all of us, letting us know that the way the country is right now requires a new, genuine solution. And one of the cardinal points is to bring about a reconstructed constitution, a reviewed, and also to restructure. The only thing that will restructure is the fact that the federal government needs to shave off its weight, the weight of police. There is a need for us to have local government and state policing. That is a natural way of dealing with the people. That is the way that the government of each state must be able to have autonomy to generate their resources and give the central government a percentage.
Thank you.
Not the federal government giving the states.
Not the other way around. Thank you. So I've said this one several times.
When the states are productive, then we can have a proper economic development.
Thank you so much. I think you wrapped it up nicely, because right now, in my opinion, some state needs to be collapsed. And you are now talking about adding more states. There are states that are not productive. So we need to reverse that. Then we'll solve the problem of Nigeria. But thank you so much. We hope to have you again. Thank you so much, Dr. Now. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Mercy. We ran out of time. We were having fun. Please ensure you follow us across all our social media handles. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed our quote for today, here it is again. I am here to tell you that just as I am certain that the United States will emerge from the struggle with our democracy, I am equally certain that Nigeria will emerge in this century as a model democratic country, not just for Africa, but for the entire world. I like her optimism. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen.